So this is how I recycle my rims and tires. I use a heat gun, and I wear like mechanics gloves. These are just Craftsman mechanics gloves because this gets really hot. And basically what I do is I take the heat gun and I apply it to the edge of the rim where the tire is mounted, and I just go very slowly around the rim until I either start to hear a cracking sound. That means the tire glue has debonded, or I just go until I think I've heated it up enough so that I can start peeling the tire back. This is just a standard Ace digital heat gun. I set the heat to, maybe you can't see it, I set it to 700 Fahrenheit, and I set it all the way up to the 2 setting so it blows the most air. And basically this whole set here took me about a little more than an hour. So I've saved, figure one pair of rims might cost $5 or $6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So that's 6 pairs of rims. It's somewhere between $30 and $40 I saved over just 1 hour of relatively simple work here. And as you can see, in most cases, the tires peel off very nicely. The inner foam inserts still look okay. There's not too much damage. This particular wheel I went overkill, and I kind of burnt it a little bit. That's because when I peeled it back, the tire was still glued to just this part here, and I took the heat gun to this part and I just applied heat for too long, so it started to melt that tire a little bit. One thing you may notice is some discoloration in the rims. Let's see if I can find a good example here. Like here you can see a little bit of brownish yellowish discoloring on the inside. Okay, and on some of these, like these Proline Velocity rims, they had a much shinier sort of neon yellow finish before I took the heat gun to them. They sort of started to the color looks a little more bland now. And that's because the heat is gonna start decoloring these rims. So if you don't care about that, it's a great way to save a ton of money on rims. And you know, these tires are perfectly recyclable. So for example, these, well, not these Road Hogs, but these Road Hogs are perfectly good. I just mounted them on my RC10 rims, and I wanted to take them off and mount them on some Tamiya rims. And it's very, very easy way of doing it. The other methods that have been discussed online and on YouTube for removing tires involve either using boiling water, or putting the tires on a pan and then putting that in the oven and baking them, or using acetone. Now, in principle, there's nothing wrong with boiling water or baking the tires. The problem is, so for me at least, I prefer not to put my tires in the same equipment that I make my food in. If you have your own dedicated oven in a garage somewhere for baking tires, great, good for you. But most of us don't have that. Acetone is probably the cleanest approach. Well, the problem is that acetone is very toxic. So disposal of the acetone is non-trivial. So I think that the heat gun approach is the most environmentally friendly approach. Is actually arguably also the quickest approach, or it's probably just as fast as using the baking method. And this heat gun maybe consumes, let's see here, how many watts? It's 1500 watts, okay, and that's at full power, I assume, and I'm not even using full power. So I suppose I use something like 1 kilowatt hour, give or take a little, to remove all of these tires. If you use an oven, assuming you have an electric oven, you'd use a lot more than 1 kilowatt hour to do the same job. So this, I think, is more efficient, certainly more environmentally friendly than the acetone approach, and as you can see, it gets the job done. So I just figured I'd show you guys that. And this heat gun is, I don't know, maybe $50 or so. These gloves are maybe 10 bucks, 15 bucks. So very economical. So this pays for itself very quickly. Just over this run right here, I've probably paid for most of this setup here. So that's it.